Hey, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about how we craft successful cold email offers. And we're going to be using Alex Hormozi's value equation framework. If you don't know what that is, no worries. It's very simple and we'll be covering that on here. But also, if you are interested in knowing why you would be interested in watching this video, we are a cold email lead generation agency, ExoLeads. Last year, Smart Lead let us know that we got over 1,000 positive replies, and we were in the top 5% of Smart Lead users in terms of deals created. And that is taking into account that we started running campaigns on Smart Lead like a few months into the year. So, it's actually a bit higher than that. But anyway, should be enough for us to know what we're talking about a little bit. But basically, what we do is we craft our emails using the Alex Hormozi value equation framework. And what that is talking about dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement, time delay, and efforts and sacrifice, and how each of those elements play a role in the cold email that we send to maximize for positive responses and calls booked and clients signed. So we're going to be talking about how each of those components play a role in the offer, as well as 3 real life examples of how these have been implemented in cold email campaigns that we've sent out. So to get right into it, the first one that we're going to be talking about is dream outcome. And this is where a lot of people put a lot of their weight when it comes to creating an offer that they're going to be sending out in a cold email. And the reason that isn't always the best idea, we're going to be getting into in a second. But one thing that a lot of people do is that they maximize for the no-brainer offer, which means making it so that the prospect feels stupid for not opting into the email. And that is a strategy that was working unbelievably well in about 2022, 2023. And basically, it ends up being that you send out an email that says something like, I will generate you 30 leads in 30 days without you lifting a finger. And if I don't, you get your money back and blah, blah, blah. Now, the reason that doesn't work is that you are missing a couple of elements there. And I'm going to be getting into those and how we address them so that we actually do get responses for the same offer, essentially. So, dream outcome. With the dream outcome, what you want to achieve is to help them pull the levers that they've already identified, but you want to do it better and faster than they would do it without you. It's not simply how you can make them more money, how you can save them time, or how you can save them money. You have to have a couple of things such as market sophistication, which is understanding what they want and how you address. Instead, what you want to do is have a good understanding of what conversations people are having that you are reaching out to internally. What do they actually want? When you achieve this, you have an acceptable level of market sophistication. Now, that sounds like jargon, so let me just show you one example of what that looked like in one of the campaigns that we put together. And this is example 1, a company that places cheap outsourced VAs in other companies. Now, the obvious play here is to say, hey, we're going to get you cheap labor with qualified VAs now. We'll help you hire them, etc. Just whatever would come to mind initially for an offer like this. But the issue is that whenever you're saying something like this, like you're going to place a VA in somebody's company, why would they be waiting for a cold email to achieve that? If you already know how to hire somebody and that you want to hire somebody, then you're likely just going to be going to Google, you're going to be going to Upwork or Fiverr, you're going to be going to your referral network so that you can, know where to hire people. You're not waiting for a stranger to email you for this. So when you try to capture demand with a cold email like this, it's very, very, very rarely going to work. So instead, you have to understand your market. Who is your dream client? What situation are they in, and why are they not moving forward with your email right now? Now, in this case, their dream client is actually somebody who has never hired before. Why? Because they're looking for cheap outsourced VAs, so they probably don't have a ton of money to be like hiring, a more traditional type of hire. And they also don't already have a hiring solution. So the only reason they would be entertaining you, a stranger's company, is because they don't already have this figured out themselves. So if they've never hired before and they don't know how to hire, then they probably don't know who to hire, they don't know where to hire, they don't know if they can even afford to hire. So now you are in a very good starting place for identifying what you can say to this person once you have understood where they are mentally, what conversations they're having internally, because now you can address those things instead of just doing like the no-brainer thing where you're like, hey, these VAs are qualified, hey, they're really affordable, hey, we're even going to help you hire them. Instead, you want to meet them where they are, and that's how we do it there. The other thing and a dream outcome is to solve micro problems. And I can't stress the importance of this enough, because if you are essentially offering somebody to take over an entire department at their company for them, it's going to take more than a cold email to get them from where they are now to them, signing a contract with you. So in order to increase the likelihood that somebody actually entertains you as a company, you probably want to solve a much smaller problem that is very aligned with what your bigger solution is, just so you can prove that you actually know what you're doing. And so in that example with the VA example, a micro problem that we fixed for the prospect in this case is to pitch to help them define the role instead of actually going and hiring the people. Since this person has never hired before, they probably don't know how to hire. They don't know what role they even would want to hire for. So identifying where this person is spending so much of their time that they could be outsourcing to a VA is a really valuable proposition. And you can also even go and calculate how much you can afford to pay that person based off of how much your time is worth and how much time you're wasting on that particular task. And that makes it very, very obvious and a very good offer for you to then go and, hire a VA once you have all of this information that was keeping you from even looking for a solution in the first place. So this is how we turn a demand capture offer into a demand generation offer. This is how we meet people where they are mentally. And this is how we solve a micro problem that isn't actually the main solution that you offer, but it's going to be a solution that you can offer to somebody to meet them where they are and to get them to understand that you are somebody that they can trust to work with. Another quick example that I'm actually sharing because it's such a specific example that I'm pretty sure it's not going to be exactly replicable for a lot of the people watching this. It's a company that helps auto hell repair companies with marketing. So the obvious thing here is we're going to run paid ads for you so that you can get more leads after the next big hailstorm. That's an obvious dream outcome. But this pitch is a bit generic. Any marketing agency could come up with it. And if they're already running ads, then why would they go and let you run them? Instead, what we did for them is we changed it to speak their language. Instead of more leads, we changed it to more cars, because that's the way that, auto hail repair companies speak. They want to have as many cars as possible that they're repairing. Instead of after the next storm, we said, so you can be the first to the storm. Very micro tweak there that obviously doesn't seem like a very significant thing to you and I who are not in the industry, but being first to the storm means that you get the best high quality leads as possible, and somebody who is already marketing in this space understands that. So if you can offer how you can help them get more cars and be first to the storm, then that is a way that you can set yourself apart from other marketing pitches. And now these people who are entrenched in this space are listening. So again, how do we fix their micro problems? In this case, instead of taking over their ads, we pitch to share the playbook to help them be the first to the storm. So this playbook is a much easier thing to opt in for, and it implies that this is something that actually exists. So this is a really good way of doing that in this particular case. And then finally, the third case of how we use Dream Outcome to maximize the response rates for the cold email offer is how we do it for ourselves at Axle Leads with our cold email lead generation. So the obvious dream outcome here is that we're going to generate you 10 monthly calls into your calendar on a monthly basis, etc. The issue here is that if that's what you're saying today in 2025, then you're late. Because this person has heard that before. They've been pitched this before, they've tried it in-house, and it didn't work. So instead of letting them know that cold email is this solution that's going to get them all these leads, understand where they are mentally. And that's what we did. Instead of pitching them this offer up front, instead we offer them proof of concept. And by proof of concept, we mean that you get one free booked call with a qualified prospect, no fees, no contract signed or anything like that. And this way, by offering this proof of concept, by offering this Costco sample, by offering this free trial, however you want to look at it, this person is able to see that cold email actually does work and that we know how to make it work specifically for marketing agencies, because that's what we've helped in the past. Now, the micro problem that we are solving here is due diligence. And due diligence is the evaluation of an opportunity before taking part in a transaction. And it's an incredibly important part of the sales process that a lot of people don't really think about, because it's not really a selling opportunity. It's more so what's happening internally in the prospect's mind that's going to help them figure out whether or not they're going to be engaging with you. So in this case, we offered a solution where we offer a proof of concept with a free booked call. We help fix the micro problem of due diligence. And in this case, what I mean by that is they don't want to waste their time entertaining different options, whether it's with cold email lead generation agencies or any other forms of lead generation. There's so much involved in entertaining all of these. They have to hop on a bunch of calls. They have to pay a bunch of setup fees. There's this time delay, etc. So this low commitment offer makes it really easy for them to know whether or not they should move forward with Axo Leads, because they'll be able to know if they should move forward with us, if they should find another option, or if they should just forget about email altogether. Because let's say that we run our campaign where we offer this free proof of concept and we actually don't generate a single call or a single positive response, then there's a really good chance that maybe cold email is not something that they want to invest in the near future, or there's a lot of fixing that needs to happen there. All right. So that was dream outcome. We're going to move over to perceived likelihood of achievement. Let me just go back. So that's the second part of the top half of the equation. So perceived likelihood of achievement is how likely is it that this solution, this dream outcome, this offer is actually going to solve my problem. But not only that, perceived likelihood of achievement also covers the other side of it, is how certain am I that this isn't going to exacerbate other problems? So what are the risks involved here? So there are basically two levers to pull to increase the perceived likelihood of achievement. One is relevance, the other is risk reduction. Relevance can basically be split into two: case studies, who have you helped in a similar situation, and use cases. How does this make sense for my business in particular as a prospect? And then on the risk reduction side is, what if it doesn't work? How do you address those things? Let's talk about, for example, if you're pitching paid ad services to somebody. If it doesn't work, is there going to be something to fix? Are you going to get our Meta Ads account banned? Because if that happens, there's a ton to fix. Am I going to have to be the one that fixes the problem that you broke? Will I get a refund? What happens if I make less money because of this? So, if you run this paid ads campaign for somebody, then, even if you're testing 50-50, if your version severely underperforms, then they're going to be making less money that month because of you. So what happens then? And then also, very importantly, and often very ignored, is how will this reflect on me? So let's say I'm the head of marketing at the company that you're contacting, and you're telling me that you can help increase our CTR, etc. And I'm like, all right, that sounds amazing. So I advocate for you. I convince the CEO to spend money on your services, and then it goes terribly wrong. You break something, whatever the case may be, or it just doesn't work. How is that going to reflect on me who advocated for you? Like, now I'm embarrassed. Now I look like I don't know what I'm talking about. Now I lost the company money. It's a really shitty situation to be in. So, that alone is going to be a big enough reason for me to just not entertain your cold email to me, even if your pitch sounds amazing, the dream outcome sounds amazing, but the perceived likelihood of achievement and the risks involved with me advocating for you and you letting me down and making me look like an idiot are just too high and I don't want to take any part of that. All right, quick examples now of how we actually use this in real life. The VA outsourcing example, for them, we used use cases. So instead of reaching out to them saying, hey, I can place VAs to help you save time and money, we can reach out to directly paid ads agencies and call out how many landing pages a VA of yours can do in 1 month and how much time that will save your company. So if you already have specific concrete proof of your VAs being able to do, 15 landing pages in a month, and you know how long that usually takes a person, then you can specifically call out the use case of hiring these VAs for the paid ads agency. So now you have set yourself up for the CTA to say, hey, can we calculate how much your time is worth, just so you can see how much ROI is here by saving this much time that is going to save you this much money, so that you can work on higher leverage tasks, specifically on not having to waste your time on landing pages anymore. Example number 2, the hail damage company. In their case, it's very obvious. The case study, they had already worked with a hail damage company in particular. They got really, really good results that significantly outperforms the majority of the marketplace. So by letting other hail damage companies know that they achieved this, then they are very interested in this offer because they're like, hey, I want to achieve that too. Now, the very interesting thing about this is that we very, very recently just booked a call for that company with another company that is in the space that's actually doing better than the result from the case study. But since the relevance was so high, they still wanted to meet and hear them out and talk about like the playbook and everything because the relevance was so high. Hopefully that becomes one of their clients. This call hasn't even happened yet. That's how recently this happened and how much this particular approach is working in 2025 to generate leads in cold email. Now, the final one, example 3, when we talked about perceived likelihood of achievement for our offer, which is that free trial proof of concept for cold email lead generation with Axo Leads. There are so many things that we do. All of our case studies are marketing agencies, and we only reach out to marketing agencies. So if you're a marketing agency, then it's obvious to you when you come to our website that we can help a company just like you. There, for risk mitigation, if this particular offer doesn't work, if our proof of concept, our free trial that we run for you doesn't work, there's no harm whatsoever because you don't have to pay any money to do this. There's no opportunity cost paid because you don't have to stop doing something else to do this thing. There's no hurt reputation because we send you the copy that we are planning on sending out to your prospects before we launch the campaign for your approval. So this is only copy that you have approved. And there is nothing to fix or replace because we are using our own sending infrastructure that already exists. So if we screw everything up, then all we have to do is shut off the campaigns and your company is affected in no way whatsoever. So that is a way where it's really does become a no-brainer of like, okay, why on earth would we not do this when there's literally no risk whatsoever, right? So that is increasing that perceived likelihood of achievement by decreasing the risk of anything going wrong. Another thing, we also, make sure that whenever you look up our company, you're going to see that we are certified by a reputable email marketing software called SmartLead. If you look us up on Google, you'll see, just coherent messaging across our socials, our YouTube, and on the website. So now we're going to the other side of the equation, which is the time delay. And this part is the part where you start to get where people don't understand the value of it. And if you understand the value, you're going to be on a league of your own because you are going to be doing things that other people don't try. So time delay, very simple. Time is a cost. If you pull off the dream outcome faster, then people are going to be more responsive, right? However, the really interesting part about time delay is that the faster that you can get a result, the smaller the dream outcome has to be. So a really good example of that is Netflix. Netflix has, a bunch of shows, 2 of them being Love is Blind and Squid Games. Now, season 1 of Squid Games was in 2021. Season 1 of Love is Blind was in 2020. Squid Games has 16 episodes in total across the entire existence of the franchise. Love is Blind has 193 episodes. They both pretty much started around the same time, but there is an obvious more than 10 times more episodes, more content about Love is Blind than there is about Squid Games. And that is because the actual product is much, much, much lower quality, but they are able to put 3, 4 seasons of this thing out a year, meaning that people are fed constantly and they're essentially just making sure that people stay signed up by feeding them something that is much, much lower quality, but they're able to fulfill on, very, very frequently. Whereas Squid Games does take years to pull off and put together. So yes, like Squid Games is going to be the thing that's going to get Netflix, all these awards and like global renowned like conversations. But Love is Blind is what keeps people on the platform long. So it's a very good example about the importance of time delay. If Love is Blind didn't exist, then very few people would stick around for one show, 7 episodes to come out every 4 years. Instead, they are able to use this time delay thing so that they can pump out as many shows as they possibly can, even if the quality is lower, because we are okay with getting lower quality results whenever we don't have to wait 4 years to get new content. So how do you use this actually in cold emails? For one example, the outsourcing the VAs, the target that you're reaching out to has been looking to hire out these tasks for a while, but they haven't really had time or taken the time to figure out how to do that. You helping them figure it out and how to do everything and who they should hire and blah, 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 and doing it all within 48 hours is actually insane value because of how quickly they can get to the point of having absolutely no idea who to hire, how to hire, if they can afford to hire, to having all of that information within 48 hours is really, really valuable. Example number 2, hail damage. If you are ready for the first storm, which is actually around the corner, then you are going to be, getting this dream outcome. So the dream outcome is actually very closely tied to how quickly you're going to be able to deploy the first campaign to be the first hail damage company advertising for this storm in particular. So being the first to storm is literally the dream outcome. And then example number 3, for us, cold email lead generation with Axo leads, there's no warm-up period necessary, which is usually inherent when it comes to generating leads with cold email, but we're using infrastructure that we've already warmed up for you so that we can plug in your copy and your leads and send out your emails immediately. You get all of the details of this offer before you even have to book a call with me. This means that we are not gatekeeping any of the information, so you can make your decision as quickly as possible about whether or not this is something that you are willing to engage with. So the typical time from launching the first campaign to getting the call booked is 4 days. And it usually takes us 3 days to launch that first campaign from the day that we meet. So that means that we meet and 1 week later, you already have a call booked into your calendar entirely for free. So this is the quickest way for you to know if this is something that you should entertain. And now finally, the 4th element to the equation, and that is effort and sacrifice. So in this case, the easier that you make it to understand your offer, the better of a chance you're going to have at getting good results with your cold email campaign. So as you can see here, Drake is a perfect example of somebody who makes it unbelievably easy for their target to understand what they are saying. It's extremely accessible, so he has the numbers that back that up. If you have a concise idea with visuals and examples that it's easy to follow, then you are going to not lose people in the process. And if you have a version that requires less from them, then it's going to be a lot easier to make the sell. If you pitch a playbook, then it's going to be something that they are going to infer that it's kind of done for you. There's like little for them to do because the playbook already exists. So I'm going to break all of these down, make it easy for them to understand, pretty obvious, have a concise idea with visuals and examples so that it's easy to follow. This isn't calling people dumb, by the way. This isn't saying that they don't get it because people are too dumb to understand your offer. It's the fact that people only will give you like 20% of their attention. And if you lose them, then they are just going to kind of check out, right? So if these people are checked out, then they are not going to become your clients. So you have to make it as easy as possible to retain as much attention as possible. So having visuals and examples is going to be a very good way of doing that. And having a version that requires very little from them is exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll go ahead and get to the example so that you can see it. So example number one, outsourcing VAs, making it non-committal. So you figuring out what they can afford to hire, who they should probably hire, what that job listing looks like, and what their ideal candidate looks like is one thing. And it probably seems like you're offering a ton of value, but in that initial outreach, you should make it sure that they know that that just by doing that, it doesn't commit them to actually going and moving forward and hiring somebody with you. Now, you're still going to want to sell them when it gets to that point, right? But initially, it's a massive ask to ask somebody who is a stranger that you are emailing for them to go from 0, because that's what cold means, to 100, which means that they are now your paying client. Instead, take them to do the work that's going to get them to 50%, right? Or whatever percent. You provide that value, and then you can sell them from here to here. That's a much easier sell than from here to there. I mean, it's so obvious, but a lot of people think that they are entitled to a new client just because they provided value to somebody, and it just doesn't work like that. What else is there? So show them a checklist of questions another thing that we did in this case is that we showed the prospect a checklist of questions that they were going to be asked to define the role. And that was so that they could kind of visualize the kind of value that they would be receiving and what was going to be asked of them. Another thing to decrease the effort that they had to make to consider whether or not this was something worth engaging with was to go ahead and assume the role that they were going to need based off of the company type. Like we mentioned earlier, this is a paid ad agency that we're reaching out to, then assuming that we would be hiring somebody to create their landing pages so that they can actually already consider whether or not this is something for them. All right, example number 2, the Hell Repair Company. We were pitching the playbook that got the case study result for a company in a very similar situation, because a playbook implies that it's done for you. A playbook implies that it's already figured out. And so if you are an auto hail damage repair business and you want to achieve the same outcome, then all you have to do is meet with my client, and then they will be taking care of you. And then finally, example number 3, cold email lead generation with Axo Leads. Literally every single step of the cold email process is done for you. You don't have to stop anything that you are doing. You don't have to dedicate any additional time to this. If this free trial works for you, then that's great, because now you can continue to work with us and continue to get leads done for you. It is a preview of what it looks like to work with us. And if it doesn't work, then all of the effort and all the sacrifice that you make is 0, and all I have to do is switch off the campaigns, and that's it. So those are the 4 steps in the value equation that we use internally to create offers for our clients and for ourselves. You saw 3 examples of how we used each of those, but there are still a couple of things that I just want to make sure that you take away from this video if you are interested in writing cold emails, offers in particular that do get responses, that are working in 2025. And especially if you're a marketing agency, this is with you in mind, because there are other offers that are just a lot easier and some that are more difficult, but this is just the market that I understand and I'm very confident in. So the first thing on here, your offer is the highest leverage aspect of your cold email strategy. I just want to make sure that that's obvious enough, because a lot of the times people will be asking me all sorts of questions when it comes to like tracking, when it comes to analytics, when it comes to subject lines, when it comes to CTAs, when it comes to, all the different elements of a cold email. And I'll see their copy and I realize, you haven't even dialed in your offer. You don't actually have product market fit yet. So the reason that your campaigns aren't working isn't the volume, it isn't the lead source, it isn't the subject line, it's your offer. So definitely rewatch this video if you have to, and make sure your offer is dialed in and continue to test your offers so that you would find what actually works and then go in and optimize and tweak it. Another thing, you want to meet prospects where they are, not where you think that they are. Cold leads are very different from inbound leads, so you can make sure that you are testing to figure out what conversations people are having internally and how you can capitalize on those. If you have clients, speak to them so that you can understand where they are or where they were before meeting with you, so that you can call out the same problems to your prospects. Because if your best clients are your dream clients, then you can bring more dream clients by calling out the same situation that your dream clients were in before speaking with you. Solve micro problems. Don't try to take over a company's entire marketing department. Nobody's going to hand that over to you. Instead, for example, if you do run paid ads for somebody, suggest running a test where the test copy that you put together for them is only 10% of the test, so that they don't feel like they are risking it all with you. Reduce the risk of engaging with you in every way. And then finally, my favorite part about all of this, because I hate so many cold emails that I receive in my inbox, and so many people hate cold emails because they get emails with offers that are so unrealistic that it just makes you want to barf. So this is how you avoid sending emails like that. And that is by understanding the levers that make a valuable offer. The higher the perceived likelihood of achievement and the lower the time delay, the lower the effort and sacrifice, then the lower the dream outcome has to be. You don't have to promise the world, as long as you make it as easy as possible for them to entertain your offer.